back to the channel. So I wanted to continue the Homemaking 101 series with another video on decluttering. So I'll probably have several topics regarding homemaking, and then I'll probably have several subtopics within each of those topics. I haven't quite figured out or worked out how I'm going to do that exactly, but I am sure that when I get it done, it'll make sense. That's how I like to roll. Let me make sure this little Mikey thing is even on. I don't remember if I turned it on. I did. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so I know yesterday I did a little voiceover video, showed you guys kind of the process of how to go through a declutter. I actually want to talk a little bit today about how to not have to get to the point of needing to do a declutter. And if you're Western, if you're in America or any of the Western countries, probably this will be something that you'll have to keep coming back to, the whole decluttering thing. We have a pretty materialistic society. We have a very consumeristic society. And even though I would consider myself fairly minimalist, at least compared to my peers or compared to other people in my same life stage, as you saw, I still have to do routine declutters because stuff multiplies. And when you have children, stuff multiplies even faster. I swear, the paper just reproduces. Like, it just spontaneously erupts and it just happens. I don't even know where it all comes from. And I say the same thing with like the cheap Chinese toys, the plastic garbage. It just magically appears. And then it's like, it just takes over everything. And it becomes such a clutter beast. So today's video, I want to talk about how you overcome the clutter beast in the first place, how not even to grow one. Don't even nurture one in your home. And these are just sort of my takeaways. So why should you even listen to me on this subject? Well, I was a professional home organizer and a nanny and a professional housekeeper for several years. And I did those three things together. So it kind of put me on a path to become an okay homemaker, because those are all home organization, nannying, and housekeeping are all in the realm of homemaking. So it was very helpful for me to go through that process as a younger woman, to see how people got to the point that they needed to pay someone to come and organize their things. And there were just some general principles. My dog's gonna growl, so I apologize. But there were just some general principles that kept popping up when I did these things. So, first, Midgie, go lay down. My dog's name is Midge. She's 13 years old, and she's ancient, and she's just so grumpy. And she is deaf and blind, and she growls at nothing. So if you hear her growling, I'm not editing it out because this is real life. And I want you to be able to feel empowered like you can do this too. So anyways, my first note on this is, how do you stop clutter in the first place? The 1 in, 1 out rule. Now, I don't follow this strictly because it's just very difficult, especially when you have older members living in your house and they're bringing stuff in that you aren't. This is easier to follow when you're in control of what's coming into your home. So generally when you have younger children, which is a great time to start getting on top of the clutter beast. So the 1 in, 1 out rule is simply that if you want to bring something into your home, something must leave. So you don't have to follow this religiously, of course. There's no legalism here about this. What this is it's just maintaining a homeostasis. So let's say that you get an area of your home to the point where you really like it. It's clean. For me, this is like my kitchen counters. I can't stand having stuff stacked on my counters. I like an open workspace all the time, and I like it to be clean. So when piles of clutter start appearing on the kitchen countertops, I know something's going on. Like, usually it's other people dropping their stuff, which is fine. That's what a home is for. A home is for the people, not the people for the home. So another takeaway on this is, don't make your people for the home, make your home for the people. So clutter's gonna happen, messes are gonna happen, dirt's gonna happen. That's just the process of living in a home. That all happens. So, you know, don't get hung up on like, oh, it needs to be picture perfect all the time. That's not real life. My house is not picture perfect all the time. My kitchen's a disaster right now because we had a very busy day. So I'm filming in the bedroom. It's very, very tidy in here right now. So anyways, the idea of one in, one out is that if you bring something into your home, you take something out of your home. So this is very helpful in being mindful, which is point number 2. But I want to go back to point number 1 for a second, which is that this should be especially true, this rule, one in, one out, with clothing and with toys. So those are the 2 things that are just most likely to overtake your space. If you have so much clothing that you cannot keep up with laundry, then you have too much clothing. Like, I actually saw this on, I don't remember whose YouTube channel it was, some woman who does minimalist, maybe Minimalist Mom or something, I can't remember. But the idea was that if you actually have so many pieces of clothing that you can't wear them all within a certain portion of time, like let's say you can't get through your wardrobe in a month, then you probably have too many pieces and you're not actually wearing them, which means 2 things. It means, first of all, your closet is super cluttered and your drawers are probably super cluttered. And then 2, you probably have a hard time keeping up on laundry. And there's like those funny memes that go around that's like, wash 1 day, dry 2 days, fold and put away 7 business days, which I get it. It's hard to keep up on laundry, especially if you have a large family. I do not have a large family, but I come from a very large family, and I remember how difficult it was to keep up on the laundry. Several tips for keeping up on laundry will be coming later, but the number 1 thing I can say is that if you cannot do your laundry in a timely manner, you have too much laundry. And it's not that you have too many people wearing too much laundry. That might also be a thing. You might have 8 people and everybody's changing their clothes 3 times a day. And so you're just producing a volume of laundry. And I would challenge, if you are that mom who's got the 8 kids that change their clothes 3 times a day, stop it. Don't let your kids do that. Or teach your kids to do their own laundry. My son does his own laundry because if he wants to change his clothes 3 times a day, that's fine. You're just going to have to do your own laundry because I can't keep up on that volume of work. And not to mention the fact he's going to have to learn that. He needs to know that so that when he leaves my house, the time in between leaving my house and getting married, he will know how to do his own laundry. And then maybe after he gets married, he'll still need to do his own laundry because maybe his wife will become disabled, or who knows. Only God knows what is in plan for his future. Maybe he doesn't get married. Who knows? I pray that he does. I pray that his wife likes to do laundry. All those things, all those are good things that I hope and pray for. But who knows? He still needs to learn how to do it. And your children also need to learn how to do it. And guess what? They're not too young to learn how to do it. So if you have a 4-year-old, they can load stuff in the washer and they can take stuff out of the dryer. All you need is a step stool. If you have a 5-year-old, they can follow the instructions on the machine if you point out how to do it and watch them. And the problem usually here is that you have to train your children, and that takes time, and it's annoying because you have to keep repeating yourself and you have to keep correcting mistakes. And like, I totally get it. Training kids is hard. I will do a whole different video on that later, but suffice to say that if you can't get through your laundry pile in a reasonable amount of time, you probably have too much laundry. So be really honest with yourself. Do you have too much laundry because maybe you have a shopping problem and too many clothes are coming into the house? Do you have too much laundry because you actually do have 12 people in your household and no one is helping with laundry? If that's the case, start training people to help you with laundry. And I'm not saying that's your husband. I'm saying that might be your older or middle school aged children. If you have 12 kids, you probably have a wide range of children. But that's not the point. The point is that you need to honestly assess, why is this not getting done? So what undone laundry, the reason that I'm like pounding on laundry here is that undone laundry creates a list of clutter. It'll create piles on the couches and the beds. Then it creates piles on the dressers, piles in the closets, piles on the floor, piles in the laundry room. And then so suddenly you're walking around and you're feeling like your house is super, super cluttered, and it may also be super, super cluttered, but a lot of your problem might just be the amount of piles that you have. And if a lot of those piles are clothes, and since I was a housekeeper and a home organizer, a lot of what I saw when I went into very average middle-class people's houses was they had too many clothes. They weren't even able to wear them all. So that's like one of the easiest things to start, just combing through, being like, this doesn't fit. I don't like the way this feels. My kids don't even wear this thing. This has holes and I'm not ever going to mend it. This is out of season or out of date and it needs to be stored until it can be used again. Like, these are all things that you need to start thinking through with clothing. And I think clothing is probably, especially because we live in a very fast fashion type of world, clothing's probably one of the number one clutter attractors. And here's kind of a sad thing that I saw. When clutter is there, like let's say you have a pile of clothing on your treadmill in your bedroom that you've never used. I don't know you, so I'm not calling you out if that's the case, but let's just say that that's the case. And you walk into your bedroom and you start to feel anxious because your bedroom doesn't feel welcoming and peaceful because there's this item that you're not dealing with. So this item, which is just an item, starts to actually manage you instead of you managing your items. And then you start to feel overwhelmed and anxious and you're not sleeping well. And like, I know it feels like maybe this is a lot this is a big deal to make on something so small like a pile of laundry, but like you can see how this actually expounds and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger because one pile of clutter breeds another pile of clutter. And then that breeds a home full of clutter. And then that breeds discontent and unhappiness and bad mental health. And it would just be simpler not to have that problem in the first place. So all of that to say that clothing and toys, I'll tell you the practical thing that we do twice a year. My son's birthday's in June and in December. So for his birthday and for Christmas, we go through his room. He tries all of the clothing in his room on. It takes a couple of hours to do this. He tries all of the clothing in his room on. Whatever doesn't fit gets donated. Whatever's too big goes back in the closet, and whatever currently fits gets either hung or put away where it belongs. And we do this twice a year. The same thing with toys. We go through his room twice a year. I'm not in there with a white glove or anything the rest of the year, but twice a year his room gets a deep clean and we go through all the toys. What's broken? What's missing pieces? What can be repaired? What needs to be donated? What's not even being played with anymore? So these are all things that twice a year, birthdays and Christmas, right before birthdays and Christmas, we do this because he's getting gifts from friends and family and more stuff is coming into the house and he needs to learn on his own that stuff will manage you if you don't manage stuff. So it's just a good practice to start now. Which leads me into number 2, which I've kind of talked about, but only making mindful purchases. No impulse spending. And I want to speak to those of you that might have a shopping addiction or a shopping problem. I hate that addiction term. I don't know why. Well, I think because if you're free indeed, if you're free in Christ, then you're free indeed. You don't have an addiction. You have a sin problem. So I will tell you that I am a shopping, I don't want to say addict because that's not the right term because I'm freed from it. But for a very long time, I was using shopping to fill the holes that I had in my life. And I'd always just thought that the next thing would make me feel better. And what I've come to find out is just thinking about the thing actually makes me feel better. I don't have to purchase it. And I guess that's some psychological thing. So what I'll do now is I'll add stuff to the Amazon cart and then I'll just let it sit there and I'll delete it the next day. Because for me, that works. Now, that might not work for you. That might actually trigger you to buy something. But you just need to be really, really honest with yourself. Is this a sin that you're struggling with? Because if you have a shopping problem or a spending problem, you probably also have a clutter problem. Because if you're bringing things in, chances are you're not taking them out. And chances are high that you will have lots of clutter. If you do have a shopping or a spending problem, then you need to repent. You need to stop. You need to stop being a poor steward of the good gifts that God has given you, which includes your money or your husband's income or whatever. And this is something that I have to do constantly. I was raised very poor. When I married, I was very poor. Like we've been very poor. So when we started doing better because we were more financially secure because we stayed together, we stayed married, Then that just happens. You know, if you stay married, statistically speaking, you will be financially better off in the long run. But so we stayed married and we worked on our finances together and we grew together and we built businesses together and we got more resources. We were given more resources, and I was a poor steward of them for a really long time. And it still creeps back in from time to time. So this is a sin that I will continually have to keep repenting of and killing and working on. And it's like any other practice. It's like working out, right? If you want to be fit, do you only work out on one day a week? No. But the same thing, if you want to be financially secure, you can't just have like one day a week where you don't spend money or where you think about the future for saving or whatever. This has to be an ongoing process, and you're going to fail. I mean, if you're like me, you'll continue to fail and you'll continue to have to repent of your sins, and it's fine. It's kind of a good thing about sin, right? It makes you realize that you can't do this on your own and you do need the grace of God. So all that being said, my point number 3, go digital if at all possible. Don't let paper clutter overrun your surfaces. So I know junk mail, magazines, schoolwork, art projects, if at all possible, do not let paper clutter overrun your spaces. And this is very, very easy to do, especially if you're homeschooling. What I like to do, and this might be something that you can think about for the future if you are also homeschooling or thinking about homeschooling, is I like to keep digital portfolios of stuff. So I will take pictures of art projects, I'll take pictures of homework that's been completed, and then I will store it digitally. And then if the need ever arises that I have to present a portfolio to someone to prove that we did the work, well, it's there digitally. I don't have to have a paper copy, which fades, could get lost in a house fire, could get lost just in general, it could accidentally get thrown out, or who knows, there's a whole litany of things that could happen. But if you have that stuff digitally, it's safe. So, or I guess it's safer anyway. That doesn't matter. All right, number 4, invest in quality when you can. Quality doesn't always mean expensive. So I think that, especially because we live in a very consumerist and materialist society, like I've talked about, a lot of times we associate quality with quantity of money. And sometimes that is true. Sometimes things that are quality are just going to cost more because it takes more to produce them. But that's not always true. So I have found some really quality pieces in budget places like the thrift store or curb alerts, which I don't know what they get called everywhere else, but here it's a curb alert. A curb alert, if somebody dumps something on the side of the curb that they don't want anymore, they'll put it on Nextdoor or Facebook or whatever, and they'll curb alert it. I don't have Facebook, but you know how that goes. It's better to, I've come to the, I guess, realization that much of the time, it is better to buy once and cry once, like to spend that larger amount of money on the thing that's going to last you longer, than it is to buy the cheap trash that you'll need to replace quickly. So like, I would urge you to consider your return on your investment. So your mattress, you're going to be sleeping on it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, depending on the type of mattress you get. But like a mattress has a lifespan, just a regular box spring coil mattress has a lifespan of about 10 years. If you're going to be sleeping on something for 10 years, invest in something that's going to help you sleep better, that's going to make you more productive during the day. Like you could choose the $300 mattress at, I don't know, Mattress King or whatever mattress store you have around you. Or you could save up another $200 and get the $500 mattress. Now, I don't even know what mattresses cost because we bought a mattress 10 years ago and it's got a 30-year lifespan. So we don't even, like that's, I don't even know what they cost currently. So I'm just throwing numbers out there to give you an idea. And I only said mattress because I just happened to be looking at my bed because I can't wait to go to sleep. I'm so tired. But that's neither here nor there. The whole idea is to consider your return on investment. So if you're going to be buying a piece, like if you actually do have to buy something, consider investing in something that's quality. But be mindful of your budget. Don't go out there and buy the top of the line best thing if that's not actually what you can afford, first of all. And second of all, if that's not necessary. Like, we didn't get the top of the line mattress or whatever, but we did get a good quality one because we knew, and probably a little more than we could have afforded at the time, if I'm being honest. But we knew that was going to be a 30-year investment. And so at the time it was worth it. So I'm not urging you to overspend. I'm not celebrating that or anything. What I'm saying is just consider, is that investment worth making? Because sometimes it is, and other times it's really not. So like in my last video, I think I talked about, not my last video, but one of my past videos, I talked about budget shopping for light fixtures, because nobody cares if I get the Restoration Hardware one or if I get the one off Amazon. All right, number 5, celebrate your progress, but be mindful of old habits that can creep back in. This is me. I'm preaching to myself here. And stay on top of your spaces and your clutter, or it will eventually rule you. And that's my final point, and that's really what I want to drive home here. During my time as a professional home organizer, what I saw coming into moderately cluttered spaces and hoarder level spaces was when people let their things dominate their life, the things dominated their life. Like, what is your house for? Your house is for your people. Your house is not to store your things. That's a beautiful, good gift of God that he gave you things that you need to store. Because, I mean, if we're being, brutal here, 99% of the world's population doesn't have enough things that they could even think about storing in a house. So we're pretty lucky as Westerners that we do have that. But the thing to be mindful of when you're thinking about purchasing something, or you're thinking about bringing something into your house, is this thing for my people? Or will my people be for this thing? If I buy this really expensive couch and nobody can sit on it, then the thing is for the people are for the thing. The people will not be allowed to sit on this couch. I will feel anxiety every time I have a guest over and they're drinking a drink, or if a pet happens to jump up on it, then don't buy the couch. Wait until you're in a different stage in your life and that's not a thing that brings you anxiety anymore. Buy the washable couch. You will need it. So, your things need to be for your people. And if your people right now is just you, if you're just starting out in a homemaking journey and you don't have a flock of children, or maybe you're not even married, or maybe you're not even left your parents' house, or whatever situation you're in, your things are for you, not you for your things. And if you have so many things that's all your mind can be doing, all your mind can be thinking about is, ew, I don't like the way that space looks. And you do a lot of this subconsciously. You don't even know that you're thinking about your things. But let's say you have a whole ton of knickknacks and a whole ton of dust and cobwebs. And the reason you won't dust and knock down the cobwebs is because it's going to take you hours to detail those knickknacks. Get rid of the knickknacks. That's wasted time. That's time that you don't have to waste. If you're lucky, God will give you 100 years on this earth. Do you want to spend several hours each week dusting knickknacks? If the answer is yes, you're a different person than me. Congratulations. I celebrate your differentness there. But if the answer is no, I don't want to be just dusting knickknacks for 6 hours every week, get rid of the knickknacks. They're not serving you. You're serving them. And that's wrongly ordered thinking. Rightly ordered thinking is that God created you to be a steward, and a good steward. And you are capable of being that good steward. It just takes discipline. And discipline just means that you have to keep practicing at it. Just as if it was a sport or any other skill that you wanted to learn, you have to learn how to be disciplined in housekeeping. So I hope that was some helpful and hopeful tips for you. I gotta get going. I need to go to bed. It's late. Do you see this ring light thing going on here? It's dark in here. Anyways, I wish you guys the rest of your week to be super fabulous. Solo Deo Gloria. Bye-bye.